Soldier of the Legion, based on the novel by Marshall S. Thomas.
I watched one of the armored slavers go down in a blinding flash of hits as I walked the X-Max down his chest. Another went down as well, an obscene tracery of X-Max and laser crisscrossed their path.
Relax, gals, we can handle this bunch.
I recognized Psycho's obnoxious whine. Then his manling spoke, Auto Takstar, ripping open the world. Most of the armored slavers vanished, replaced by dazzling, brilliant white-hot cores. Screeching, gibbering, actinic gold tracers, precision nuclear flowers writhing upward, with blinding lightning strikes flashing down all around them. Takstar Goddess, flower of the Legion, annihilating our enemies. The manlink was effective tactical shoulder-fired artillery. Merlin and I fired at the stragglers non-stop, X-Max and laser. Priestess, Iron Man, and Dragon laid down a deadly crossfire of X-Max, while Snow Leopard switched to laser as the last of those A-suited bastards went down. The firing stopped, and I got my first look at what a Takstar can do to armored troops. Senite was supposed to be just about indestructible. However, a direct Takstar hit was beyond the limit. What remained of the enemy squad glowed like a junkyard of fused, blasted Senite armor. My weapons instructor's intonation suddenly had real-world meaning. The Takstar is a micro-nuke designed for shock troops to rapidly impose tactical superiority over the enemy. I guess if anyone qualified as shock troops, we did.
All right, gang. Let's mop up.
Our helmets now off, Merlin and I ended up in the central hive of the obscenely opulent HQS building. Slave Block 1 had been impressive, but the slavers had saved the best of their stolen riches for their headquarters. Rare and exotic woods paneled the walls and ceilings. Tapestries that surely could have ransomed small planets now lay shredded, blood-soaked and crushed by Legion boots. Millennia-old pottery and glassware lay shattered, bits and shards strewn with a careless abandon that must be the stuff of archaeologists' nightmares. Here the Fortune's all-sub-crimson souls had planned their raids, counted their loot, and raped and tortured their captives. Here it had ended for many of them. They'd terrorized countless worlds, but now their bloody, dismembered corpses littered the floor. Smoke still hung in the air and stunk heavily of gore and exhaust gases of E's and SGs. The smell was getting to me. I started to put my helmet back on, but several of the nearby slaves saw what I was doing and gasped. Apparently terrified that more fighting was imminent, I stopped. The young, attractive girls, some of them still naked, huddled in groups of 2 and 3 in the corners, consoling each other. Most were on one side or the other of absolute panic. Looking them in the eye seemed to calm them down a bit. I don't think they really understood what was happening. Some probably thought we were just another bunch of slavers. Woo! Psycho careened into the room, popped off his helmet, and strutted around in his armor. The manlink thrust out in front of him like a great Senite penis.
Mother did it again! Did you see those stars?
Psycho was a little guy, with short blonde hair, vacant blue eyes, and a wild grin. He stroked Mother, his manlink.
Say hello and die! Thank you, Mommy, thank you! Dead man, I haven't had this much fun since... well, since yesterday!
Psycho had earned a reputation as a total maniac. He'd actually liked Planet Hell.
Snow Leopard, we've ID'd St. Mongro.
Cool Hand stood over a large corpse, sprawled in a pool of blood. The dead man's blue, pockmarked face was frozen in harsh scowl. His filmy eyes stared into infinity. A dead slave girl lay crumpled beside him. Someone on Veltros had said it, and now I understood. The dead always look the same, like lumps of clay. Cool Hand poked Mongro gently with his E and consulted a data card.
That's certainly him.
Tall and rangy, Cool Hand had a thin, handsome face and wavy brown hair. He seemed perfectly casual about having found the Crimson Soul's notorious leader. Snow Leopard drifted over and glanced down at the corpse. He removed his helmet, revealing straight white blonde hair, hot pink eyes, and a chunky face so pale we could see blue veins pulsing at his temple.
Record it.
Get any interesting kills, Thinker?
His sweaty forehead sported a nasty bruise, but he didn't seem to notice. He moved like a great cat, balancing his E on one shoulder. His deep-set eyes glared at me. Dragon was a first-class killer. I always felt better with him around, tattoos and all. I wasn't sure if he really expected an answer. Well, nothing worth writing home about.
Good. Keep it that way. Interesting means you let them get the drop on you.
Before I could figure out how to reply, a commotion broke out down one corridor. Shouting, shrieking. A gang of girls went at it, jumping on each other wildly. A catfight. I ran, but by the time I arrived, Warhound and Iron Man had separated most of the combatants. One girl writhed on the floor as the others continued kicking and spitting at her, screeching invectives and convulsed with hatred. My natural voice needed no amplification this time. "Break it up! What is this? Stop that!" I threw the attackers to one side, straddling the downed girl to protect her. The others very quickly learned not to hit me in my armor. Cradling bruised knuckles, they circled like wild dogs, bristling with hatred.
"It's black ice, Thinker."
He held several of the slaves back.
"That's what they're saying. It's black ice."
"Black ice?" I suddenly recognized the girl as a Mokane. Hair cut short to the scalp, hooded eyes and no eyebrows. Her pale skin had a greenish cast. As the deputy chief of the Fortune's all sub-Crimson Souls, she bore responsibility for the deaths of thousands. The Mokanes were our enemies. They were also the system's master race, but this one had turned outlaw. Clad in a torn top, light pants and boots, she bled heavily from the nose and mouth. "Black Ice alive?"
Priestess, I want a genetic ID on this one. These Mokanes look all the same to me.
Priestess elbowed through the crowd and pressed a med probe to the girl's neck, then consulted it and checked Cool Hand's data card. Priestess was Beta Squad's angel, dangerously beautiful, with silky black hair, smooth pale skin, and vulnerable lips. Every day that passed drew me closer to the realization that I wanted her to be my angel. My heart always sped up when she was nearby, but I certainly didn't want her or anyone else to know it.
That's her, all right. Black Ice. Genetic ID is confirmed.
Thank you, Priestess.
Snow Leopard lowered the barrel of his E to the Mokane's forehead. Her eyes widened for just a frack. Then her head exploded, spraying everyone with blood and gore. I blinked back the horror. Several of the former slaves shrieked in terror, but more than a few danced gleefully around the room, not bothering to wipe away the blood. They held hands and sang some unintelligible rhyme with wild, feral looks in their faces. I wouldn't forget this one.
Prepare to evac the civilians.
Snow Leopard had ice water in his veins. I sometimes thought he could have been a biogen, one of those synthetically grown humans engineered for specific singular tasks. To me, he was the ultimate squad leader. Only a few years older than the rest of us, he was certainly different. How could he be unmoved by this? Priestess paused beside me.
It's good, Thinker. What we're doing here is good.
I looked up at her as I reached for an embroidered shawl to wipe the blood and brains away from my face and armor. If you say so, welcome to the Legion. The rest was a blur. I did what I was told and moved like the efficient machine the Legion had forged. Now that the area was pacified, tech teams moved in to gather what intelligence they could from the ruins. We sedated many of the former slaves and evacuated the lot of them off-planet to our ship, the cruiser CS Spawn. The Lifeys, our medtechs, took custody of them. I didn't envy them their jobs. There would be many tearful reunions as the Legion reunited them with their families, but I knew that despite our best medtech and therapy, many would never be quite sane again. I was exhausted, tired beyond anything I believed possible. It was time to report. Our squad assembled, still in armor, hauling weapons and equipment in the captain's small office. We struggled to fit everyone inside. Snow Leopard stood at attention in front of the captain's Spartan desk. The captain waited patiently.
Sir, Squad Beta reports successful completion of the mission on Alshana 4. 261 slavers terminated. 608 female captives recovered. Squad had 0 casualties. 13 captives were killed in the crossfire. 30 were wounded and are under treatment.
Thank you, Beta.
He stood up, dressed in blacks. He appeared to be very young, but in the Legion it was hard to tell. Our biotech kept us young and virtually immortal. His slightly slanted eyes hinted at a little acidic blood.
It's a shame about the captives, but it can't be helped. You did a good job, troopers.
The captain knew all about how the raid went. Everyone knew that he'd closely monitored our every move. Snow Leopard's report was just a formality.
Let's see.
The captain sifted through a pile of printouts and data packs on his desk. He chose a printout.
All right, Snow Leopard. Based on the results of your final problem on Alshana 4, your squad has been certified by 22 Legion Training Command as graduates of the Hell Course and fully fit for regular combat. Reassignment is authorized to an active duty unit.
He paused and looked up, a smile breaking through.
Congratulations to all of you, and welcome to the Confree Legion.
We greeted the news with a stunned silence. Finally, Psycho broke it.
All right.
It had been a long, hard road, but we'd done it. We've arrived.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Beta, we thank the Legion.
I've got your assignment here, too. 22nd Legion, 12th Colonial Expeditionary Regiment. That's the Black 12 Cat 24, second of the ship BE-14, Adams Road. That's the Spawn's Battlestar. She's a good ship.
Sir, we are honored to be assigned to Adams Road.
We'll be underway to Adam as soon as we transfer your refugees. Adam will be star launching as soon as we arrive. The entire 12th has been recalled and will be on board. We've got a major mission, boys. A Systie intrusion into Confree Vac. It's very serious. We'll be facing the Def Corps this time, not some half-ass slaver gang with a little borrowed Def Corps' hardware.
Sir, we won't fail you. What's the target?
Andrion 2. It's in the Outback, quite a ways out, over 750 light years from the Krista Cluster. Nobody's ever been there, but we'll fix that.
Yes, sir.
The Black 12th? The 12th Colonial Expeditionary Regiment under the 22nd Black Legion? The 22nd had an ancient and glorious history. In the Plague War, it had been known as the Rimguard, and the Rimguard motto, "Deliver us from evil," had a special meaning for all Outworlders. We still carried those words on our blacks. I swallowed hard. Into the Outback. 750 light years. I must be insane. In a few days, I would really do it. Until now, there had always been the vague idea that if I wasn't good enough or brave enough, the Legion would just send me back home. I didn't expect or want to go back. It was just kind of a mental back door or escape hatch. Nice to know it was there. It was just a dodge, a way to avoid accepting the full reality and consequence of joining the Legion. Some part of me hadn't quite grasped my decision to forever leave my old life behind. Not anymore. The final string was cut, and I was suddenly dizzy. Then Psycho shoved me.
Come on, Thinker, wake up. Time to go and get out of these stinking suits and grab some eats.
The meeting was breaking up, and I was impeding the rough flow of tired armored troopers making their way out of the captain's office. Yeah, time to go.